One of your recent jobs that I loved to death was your Jack B. Quick stories that you did with Alan Moore. And could you tell us a little bit about working with Alan and what those strips were like?
Yeah, they were the best of times and they were the worst of times, because they were the best stories, but they were maybe the most difficult things I've ever had to draw. Mm-hmm. And Alan's tough. He'll give you like not six, but he'll give you 3 layers of action in one panel.
Yeah.
But he'll be very nice about it. He'll say, "Oh, and if you have room, I wouldn't mind seeing this as well, maybe in the background. And if if you have a better idea, by all means, use another idea." But how many people work on an Alan Moore script and go, "Oh, I've got a better idea than Alan." So they were really challenging. He was very pleasant to work with, but they were tough.
Yeah. And you filled those pages and that's a testament to your talent. You filled them without them making them crowded. But the Clearwater Creek was the most densely populated little town I've ever seen, because there was like a cast of thousands.
Sure.
Not counting the aliens that were showing up, or the cows, or.
Right.
But I did remember I was talking to you once, and I was like, "What are you working on?" He goes, "Oh, I'm doing this Jack B. Quick story, and I've got to draw the Glenn Miller Orchestra."
Yeah. Literally the Glenn Miller Orchestra.
In one of the panels, and you're going, I'm just trying to figure out how to shave some time off of this. And I said, just draw the Glenn Miller and the first 3 guys, and the rest of them just do silhouettes of like slide trombones and stuff like that. And you were like, yeah, that's a good idea. So when the issue came out, I turned to the end to see if you did it. You didn't. You drew everybody.
What happened was, when you said silhouettes, I started thinking, I got a photo reference and stuff, and realized they're almost silhouettes anyway, because they're wearing black tuxedos.
Yeah.
So
but you drew all the instruments, you drew all their faces, their puffy little cheeks.
Fun. Yeah,
well,
the idea of, like, wrinkles in clothing for like 30 guys or something, scared me to death. But once I realized they were, 3/4 silhouettes or maybe more, it was fairly.
See, I was suggesting sort of like a Alex Toth, Frank Miller orchestra of scary silhouettes, like lurking on a stage, playing happy music.
Yeah.
But now you live in Kansas, correct? Did that influence your willingness to accept this assignment because of the location of the Jack B. Quick story?
I think I accepted it before I had any idea what it was, and then I was dumbfounded, because Doombier, the editor, said it's a series called Jack B. Quick, so I just assumed it was, a super fast superhero in a costume. Mm-hmm. So I had no idea what it was going to be. And then I think I got maybe the first script or something preliminary from Alan, where he sort of described the world of Jack B. Quick. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't believe it. I said, Dad, does this guy need one? No, I live in this little farm town, and I got a little boy about this age, and it seemed tailor-made for me, but I don't know how to do that.
Well, he does think differently than the rest of us. So
it's an understatement, yeah.
But have they ever collected those stories into a single trade paperback?
No, we keep talking about it, but there still isn't really enough material to do a proper collection. Really? So we're, but Alan doesn't want to write for DC anymore, so it's unlikely that he'll do anymore. But
True.
We'd like to find some way to collect them. They did in France, and it was beautiful. It was oversized. It had notes in the back explaining all the cultural references for the French people.
Oh, really?
It was terrific.
Was it in French?
Yes.
Damn.
That's the only problem.
I don't speak that language. No. So what are some of the best jobs you've had in your entire career, and what are some of the worst? Let me get the Kevin Nowlan spectrum here.
Well, it's sort of like childbirth, because you forget some of the pain involved, but there's things like that Hellboy story that were a lot of fun to do and weren't painful. But other things like the Batman Black and White I was so intimidated, with the other artists going in that series and stuff. I didn't want to be the one the weakest link in the chain.
You're not, because that's the only issue I read. That's the only story I read in that issue.
But so. I had performance anxiety, and it took me forever just to draw that first panel. I just worked on it over and over again, doing different layouts and stuff. So that was tough. It should have been an easier job. It was 8 pages in black and white. How far are you into yours?
I'm 2 pages in.
Okay.
And I'm having a hard time doing mine because I'm broken by doing covers for so long.
Yeah.
And the other reason I've been doing covers for so long is nobody asked me to do interiors. I don't feel it's my job to beat down an editor's door and say, hey, you, give me a story.
I wish you would, though, because I was going to say, I love your storytelling, and that's the only bad thing about you doing covers is we don't get to see your storytelling.
I agree. I agree. You do love my storytelling. And, I do love telling stories, but I've been doing covers for so long, I don't know how to turn it down. I did a 2-page Supergirl Batgirl story for Batman Superman 75 last year, and they just wanted, the editor called me up and said, yeah, we've got this issue 75, and we want all the artists to do 2 pages on the dichotomy of Batman and Superman, and it doesn't have to be Batman and Superman. It can be Supergirl and Superboy. It can be Ace the Bat Hound and Crypto, that sort of stuff. And I was like, oh well, I guess Batgirl and Supergirl have already been taken. He went, no. So I was like, sign me up.
So you wrote this as well?
I wrote it.
Cool.
And I literally just did, it's like 12 panels across 2 pages. The top 6 are Supergirl, the bottom 6 are Batgirl, and it's just literally their beginnings and their endings. And it just starts off with Supergirl with Krypton exploding and Batgirl like being Barbara Gordon and a little girl getting a puppy on Christmas and stuff like that. And then it ends with Supergirl flying away into the sunset and Barbara Gordon in a wheelchair.
Right.
So it's just sort of like, and it's, but it was, and I was sitting there going, oh, I'm doing some writing. I didn't even put any I put it's like 8 words in it. It's just a really
because you can do that.
Yeah.
Because you as the writer, you know exactly how to tell the story with just pictures, and it's not the usual situation where a writer writes all this stuff and hopes that the artist can communicate what's in the writer's head, and a lot of times it breaks down there. But yeah, I was going to say that about, one of the things I love about your storytelling is, and again, this is something we don't necessarily see in your covers, is you're a real cartoonist in the classic sense of the word. You know how to use all the elements, exaggeration and little the iconography of of you're not afraid to use those, even though you have a very realistic style. You break out of that, and your stuff is so expressive because of that. I wish I want to find a copy of that.
Oh, I'll give you one. They sent me a box.
Good.
But you'll see what I'm talking about when I tell you it took me a month to write, pencil, ink, and color 2 pages.
Yes.
And I went, there's something wrong with me. I'm never going to be able to do comics again. And when the issue actually came out on the stands, and I had a couple months break from it, and I could look at it objectively, I went, oh, here's my mistake. I drew 12 covers. Every one of those panels, you could slap a price box and a UPC code and a logo on it and sell a comic with it. And I went, oh. So like when I'm working on my Batman black and white story, I've forgotten the sort of like the ebb and flow of telling a story and going, there are major panels, there are minor panels, there are important panels that are story moments, and there's transition panels that get you from point A to point C.
They don't have to stand on their own.
They do not.
Yeah.
And I was drawing the Batmobile screeching through the streets of Gotham City, and I did this automotive illustration that literally would have just changed the future of driving. And
again, it's black. You can silhouette it.
I can see. Well, that's what I had to do. I actually had to hold a gun to my own head and just and fill in the Batmobile and go. All I need is the shape and the brake lights and the smoke.
Exactly.
And it's tough, and so I can understand your Batman black and white pain.